Yeah, I mean, there's two main ways that I've had success in my career, building out games that to capitalize on emerging trends and untapped niches. And the first is identifying amazing indie and/or new release games that have had some moderate level of success, but do not break through to create enduring value to players, but enough so that players see that there's something interesting there. And then looking deeply at that, determining what held it back from having uh, 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 the level of success that you'd expect from a fully released, fully polished background game, and decide, is that, what does it need? Does it need more polish or a big IP or a better meta progression system or a tweak to the gameplay that removes a lot of the complexities that held it back? And oftentimes that's the type of thing that results in an amazing game. A great example of that is PUBG coming out, having success. Players loved it. They wanted that chicken that winner chicken dinner. And then Fortnite being in the position to rapidly fast follow that game with something that was more polished, and achieve the massive success that Fortnite has had as a result. Another example of that was at EA when on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, when we saw Heroes Charge out there that was in the top 100, but never broke through into the long-term enduring value level of live service success. And we put the Star Wars IP on it. We added a ton of polish and presentational value, and it brought in the most successful mobile game that EA has ever made. So that method of identifying an emerging trend and being able to rapidly execute on it in a highly polished and player value oriented way is a great way to really have success. And as far as like untapped niches go, that's more challenging to identify. And this is part of why you see the black hole games sucking up every player's interest, and a lot of those iterations happening within Fortnite Creative and Roblox, because it creates this rapid response to an untapped desire for players in a context that they're already having fun and excited to log into every day. So trying to create a brand new game that fulfills one of those, that's outside of those ecosystems, is very challenging, because not just is it hard to design a game like that, but it's also really challenging to be discovered. And so one of the most important ways to try to overcome that is to build a community from the beginning that believes in your game and your vision, and identifying that vision based off of unfulfilled needs in the marketplace. In card game space, for example, for Marvel Snap, we identified that there was a gap between players having a 5-minute or less experience that satisfied their desires for card games, and we were able to execute on that to great success. So when I think about the next game that I'd want to make, it's really about thinking about something very similar there, which is like, what is a game that is too complex or not quite fast enough for how the current market is, and how we can create a version that really executes on a more accessible, polished, and potentially more randomness to create more variability for players and their experience. Yeah. So a lot of live service developers get hung up on short-term LTV and make all of their decisions off of short-term LTV. I believe deeply that that is a flaw and results in your games rapidly becoming soulless and losing a lot of the reasons that players began to play that game to begin with. So the way I'd reframe that goal is to really think about long-term LTV and this long-term retention. And to accomplish that goal it takes a lot more faith because you can't measure it immediately. And to get a sense for how it might go, you need to listen to your community and build a relationship with your player base and look at things through sort of three axes. The first is that shorter term data that can be projected out a little bit further, that can give you some indication. The next is in feedback from your player base. What are they saying on Discord and Reddit and Twitter or whatever about your game? What are their pain points? And then the one that's the most challenging, often written off, is the intuition of the design and product skilled and people in general at your studio. Those people have played and made games for tens of thousands of hours and have a built up understanding of like what is fun, what will keep someone coming back, especially if they're passionate players of your game as well. And those three axes will point towards directions to make decisions. And when they're all aligned, it's really easy. You do that thing, but oftentimes they're not. And it's really important not to only look at data. You really need to look at those softer metrics as well. And that's how you build loyal, active players that believe in you and have trust in you. You also need to talk to them so they know you're listening and engaging with them. And that's something I feel like we do really well at Second Dinner is have that relationship with our players, talk to them, and continue to build that trust and that belief as the product goes forward. In live service games, a big part of success is not only making a core game loop that's fun, but having ongoing updates that engage players and continue to make it feel fresh. And oftentimes, the most impactful ones of those are tied to real world happenings. So some IPs are able to take advantage of that directly. If you're making a sports game and the Super Bowl's happening, do something exciting around the Super Bowl. If you have a casual game and it's Valentine's Day, do something around Valentine's Day. The reason for that is that players have schemas for how the world works, and they're already thinking about those moments. And if you're able to build beats that coincide with those schemas that players already have about how they live life, they're much more likely to understand what's going on and engage in what's happening. You can also do things that create those events within your own game. A great example is like Helldivers 2, where they have community-driven experiences where you want to push the bugs back together. And so the combination of in-game events that make sense for dedicated players and real-world beats that make sense for players as they live their normal lives are awesome ways to continually add fresh and exciting content for players that do enjoy your core loop and do want to keep playing your game. Part of live service games is being able to maintain your UA funnel and having a profitable relationship between the investment in developing the game and making revenue back. And so to achieve that, you really have to have your eye on some core KPIs that determine whether or not players are having fun in your game, continue to have fun in your game, and are continuing to want to spend in your game. And so the KPI that I care about the most is committed players, or the amount of players that play a game 7 days of the week, because that shows a dedication not just to your combat or the gameplay experience, but a dedication to all the goals that you're creating for them as well. An excitement, a reason to want to log in the next day and the next day and the next day. So that's the KPI that I recommend all developers take really seriously and continue to focus on. Because of the live service nature of games these days, core gameplay is not enough. You have to have a game economy that's balanced but tight enough to drive outcomes. And you need to have mechanics that create variability for players to play today, but then come play a month later because their experience is still fresh. And those create a sustainable value system where a player can set a goal. Hey, I want to get that character to level 10, or hey, I want my skill level to get better so I can reach legendary. That players create not just extrinsic goals around, which means I want a reward, but intrinsic goals around. That means I, as a human, endorse and am excited to achieve that goal because it speaks to who I am. And the best games are able to create both extrinsic and intrinsic motivation and goals. And that comes with great gameplay, and it comes with an amazing economy that has rewards and goals of value to players. Yeah, I love conferences that push the bleeding edge of how we're running live service games in the world and bringing together experts across the industry to talk and discuss those topics to hopefully make the experience for players around the world that much better.